Hey, what's up, guys? We're here with what is the name of the podcast now, Donvi?
Why do you do this? Okay, so the word of podcast, or the name of the podcast is going through some discussion, but we're going to be sticking with the Fox and the Clown.
Yeah, we're sticking with the Fox and the Clown, the first pilot episode, which isn't able to be aired due to some technical difficulties. We discussed a couple names for the podcast potentially, but we're kind of sticking with this, I guess.
For
And
now, at
yeah,
least.
for now, we don't really know. Things might change, but I think it's a good name, personally.
I think it gets the job done.
Yeah. And a lot of, I mean, a big, I guess before we launch into it, we should introduce ourselves. So I'm Yoshi, and I guess you're supposed
I live on Yoshi's Island.
yeah, yeah, I'm Yoshi, and my co-host is,
It's your boy Don V, uh, YouTuber artist extraordinaire.
yeah, so we're really just out here, and we were talking about, so in when we were looking for podcast names, we would come up with a great name, and we'd look it up, and it'd already be a podcast. It already exists.
Yeah,
Sometimes it exists on like NPR, and sometimes it exists as a YouTube channel with like just a couple of subscribers or whatever. But either way, we don't really want to tread on territory that's already claimed, you know. So I think this podcast name is pretty good for us.
it's a good placeholder at least.
Yeah, I think so. A couple other names we were playing with was we had one, the Grapevine, which I really liked. It was one Don V
Yeah,
came up with, but sure enough, it was already it wasn't even really a podcast. It was a YouTube channel that was somewhat successful. Um, I know they talk a lot about some social issues and some type of sex type stuff on there, which I thought was kind of strange.
they're
Um,
kind of degenerates,
well,
honestly.
yeah, it's a pretty interesting channel. They've got like pink text on all their video titles, which I thought was pretty cool. Um, but so another name, what was another name that we were thinking about using?
uh, Rumor has it, or word of
Rumor
mouth.
has it, word of mouth. We had the Bloomer and or Bloomer versus Doomer. We had
Yeah, yeah.
and Bloomer versus Doomer. That's a really good name, but it's a name that's heavily inspired by another podcast that's already out there. So
True.
that was one. You know, we kind of don't want to be we want to be innovators here, I guess. Even though we're just doing a regular old podcast and there's nothing really new happening. But yeah, um, so that I guess that's the story behind that. So we've officially got a name, and hopefully we'll get some type of design soon. We're still thinking about that too.
Yeah, I actually messaged our friend Yuki and asked him to compose a theme for the
Oh, that'd
podcast.
be nice. Have a little intro at the beginning of each episode, maybe at the end.
It, yeah. You know how Yuki is though. I don't think he's seen it, and he probably won't see it for another maybe week or two.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably find some good royalty-free music, or
That royalty free.
yeah, or maybe just use something no one's really gonna care if we use, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've got that, but we've got a couple of topics today that we actually want to talk about. Something a little more focused than our first pilot episode. So
Yeah.
the first thing
Uh,
is, I guess we're recording this on the 11th of May, on the Saturday before Mother's Day, right?
yep, yep, yep.
So that's pretty exciting. And I don't know. I remember you telling me there was something strange going on there with Mother's Day. Something that you were
Uh,
you were thinking about talking about.
oh well. Speaking of mothers, I just a few weeks back I recently watched this Netflix a series called The Haunting of Hill House. It's like a horror ghost. Wait, first of all, have you heard about this?
I have not. I'm not actually on Netflix all that much, really. I'm kind of just out here watching YouTube really most of the time. I'm subbed to so many people. I really just digest YouTube content for the most part.
Yeah, that's what I normally do. But the thing about YouTube is that it just goes on autoplay after a bit, and like sometimes I won't even go to a similar thing. And if it's like at night when I'm trying to go to bed, I just put on Netflix and I pick whatever looks interesting at the moment. And a few weeks ago, I found this show called The Haunting of Hill House, and it's like a I guess horror. I don't know. Like there's not really any gruesome murder. It's just like scary.
Interesting. Okay. You mean like type thriller type stuff, or
Yeah, I guess
okay?
it's got it's. I don't know. Should I? I guess I should kind of describe what the show is about. All right. So basically, the show starts off with this young writer who is
Writer or rider?
like a writer. He writes like novels about ghosts and stuff, paranormal activity.
Okay. So like some Stephen King type stuff.
Yeah, and this all stems from his childhood where he grew up in this house. Obviously, the house is haunted, and well, I won't spoil it too much, but some fucked up shit happens to the mother,
Damn.
and then uh, like 10 years down the line when he's grown up, uh, fucked up shit starts happening again.
So it's kind of like an It type story, I guess.
Yeah, it's actually pretty similar to it in like the in terms of like the time skip.
That's pretty interesting. So you were thinking you were watching this show and you were thinking about how it reminded you of how it reminded you of Mother's Day.
Well, I mean, I'd say the main it's kind of uh like the main antagonist of the show is actually the mother
Oh, really?
because she gets spoiler, she gets like possessed. But that's not really a big spoiler, but she does get possessed. And yeah.
Well, yeah, honestly, I was watching one of those. I was watching a horror movie, and I'm sure you've heard of it, it's called The Conjuring, right? And
Heard of it.
the mother in that movie is kind of the antagonist, and she gets possessed. And I feel like those type of stories are always, you can always empathize with the characters in that situation, and you can always, you're always pretty scared because with horror movies, a monster is honestly not as scary as, someone you trust and someone that's cared after you all your
Someone you
life.
thought you knew.
Yeah. And suddenly you can't trust them, but you want to, So
Yeah.
that's a big thing. I mean, I feel like maybe horror movies are pretty unique in the fact that they're one of the most easily empathetic or empathizable forms of media because no matter what happens, as long as they do everything, as long as they do character intro stuff right, as long as they give you enough background, you can always feel for those main characters because everyone's been scared before, you know?
Yeah, and the thing about this show is that like you get a lot of like all the characters are fleshed out pretty well. My favorite character is well, I can't remember his name because it's been like a month,
Hmm.
but he's like I believe he was the youngest in the or maybe second youngest in the family, and he grows up and becomes a drug addict who is like constantly getting rehooked back onto whatever drugs he's doing. I think he's doing like meth or something.
Okay.
And I think that's my favorite character, but all the other characters are, I'd say, just as good.
Yeah, and
But
I guess that's interesting that think speaking of Mother's Day, and we think about those types of stories, and it's like I guess they're also scary because you know it's Mother's Day, right? You're thinking about how much you want to show your mom, you want to be there for your mom, you want to show your mom how much you care for her, right? So when you think about those
yeah,
type of stories, it's kind of like, oh shit, you know, yeah. Suddenly it's kind of that puts it all into perspective. That's kind of like if shit hit the fan, what would happen? When it comes to that subject. So I guess that's an interesting Mother's Day perspective. Maybe I'll give that movie a watch with my mom, or not movie, but that show a watch with my mom, and
uh,
see. Is it a family
she,
friendly show?
uh, it depends on if your family is okay with lesbian sex.
Yeah. Well, it'd be kind of awkward, I guess. I try to stay away from those type of awkward movies, even though we're all adults now. Like, there's no reason.
you you took like a 180.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking it's like, well, I mean, really, once you introduce, once you throw that subject matter in the equation, all bets are off, right? It's like you got some type of strange, suddenly you go from being happy with your family to kind of awkwardly staring at the screen, waiting for that to pass, you know?
Well, I mean, it's not like heavily throughout. There's only like one of the children who lived in the house who grows up to be like a lesbian, and she's like very depressed, and she's constantly inviting girls over to her house to like have sex with.
Hey,
But there's only one character that she has
yeah,
sex with.
that's
So
very interesting. Honestly, I still might go for it. Still might. I'll update you.
it's not like explicit. You don't. I don't think you see any boobs or anything.
Well, that's not what I'm. That's not really the issue for me. It's just having to be there in that situation. Just
Yeah.
being like, oh, and it's even weirder because like I'm the only dude in the family, basically, except for my dad, and just living in a family of girls, it's just kind of weird. I feel like.
Oh, I know. Have you ever seen the Hateful Eight?
No, I've not seen the Hateful Eight.
Okay, well, there's a scene in the Hateful Eight where Samuel L. Jackson is talking. Like this is set in like
It's like a Western movie, right?
it's like a Western movie, but it's set during I think the Civil War.
Okay.
So there's obviously some tension between black and white uh, people, and he's talking to this old Confederate general guy about how Samuel L. Jackson had met his son, and he's describing to this old white man about how he held his son at gunpoint, and in very vivid detail he's telling him about how he made his son beg for clothes because he took all his clothes off and he's standing out in the snow. And then he talked about how he made him suck his dick, and I'm sitting there with my mom watching this,
Yeah.
and this is the worst thing.
Yeah, it's just kind of strange, Not really that it doesn't have to be weird, but it just is. It just is. So, yeah, you've got that, but I mean, I think that's cool though. I think that's well, maybe not cool, but I think that's I mean, it's nice. It's nice when you're watching stuff with your family, just in general. I think so.
Hmm.
I think that's nice, and I think just to whoever listens or whoever's listening, it doesn't even have to be on Mother's Day, but just make sure you're showing those types of people in your family, your mother, your father, maybe your siblings, some appreciation, right? I guess that's really the takeaway. I think Mother's Day is really just a reminder for people to do that on a regular basis.
Yeah. But other than that, I would say go watch Haunting of Hill House and The Hateful Eight. They're both fantastic.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you got two movie. I don't really have any movie. Well, I guess The Conjuring I brought up. So yeah, watch The Conjuring. Watch that whole universe.
Cinematic
Yeah, watch that whole
universe.
cinematic universe. They're coming out with a new one called Annabelle Comes Home. That's basically the fucking Avengers of the Conjuring universe, where all the evil spirits team up to go fuck this family, this poor family. So they're all dead basically. I think it's safe to say. But yeah.
Well, do you have any other topics you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, there was one. So I was just kind of scrolling on Facebook, right? And
Hmm.
whenever you get to scrolling on, I don't like to scroll on Facebook really because I feel like that's just a waste. Um, but I was scrolling on Facebook and I came across this pretty interesting article. The title really caught my eye. So, I sent it over to Don V, and we haven't talked about it yet because we're saving it for the podcast. But basically, in an NC swamp, a researcher finds a tree older than Christianity. It says, yeah, older than Christianity, and apparently this was in. I want to say this was in Layton County.
We're from NC, by the way.
Yeah, we're both from NC, and this tree was found in the swamps. Let me try to find the location here. Um, at the Black River, uh, and these trees live in the Three Sisters Swamp. And I'm not exactly sure where this is. I need to look it up here. So the Black River, NC. I think this is in. Oh, geez. Let me. I don't know, man. I don't know where this is. It says Bladen County, so I think it's in Bladen County here. But yeah, tree was like 2,000 something years old. That's kind of crazy.
That's like I, I I never like consider that Christianity is like less than 2,000 years old.
Yeah,
It just never like, I don't know, registers in my head like that.
I mean, this tree was 2,624 years old, and you always feel like Christianity's been around forever, right? So when
Yeah.
you hear that and you're like, whoa, only 2,000 years, that's kind of strange. You know,
A
it's kind of a clickbaity title, really,
little bit.
a little bit.
You got baited.
I did get baited. I got baited in there, but I think a lot of
Fucking
people.
clown.
Well, yeah, I guess I'm the clown in this podcast because I got baited by this article. But I think one one thing that I think they picked the title that's very interesting because if they said they found a 2,000 year old tree or 2,000 something year old tree, um, I would have been like, okay, it's 2,000 something years old, right? I've heard of trees that are, old as dirt on like documentaries or whatever. But then suddenly when it references it in context like that, especially in the South, I feel like,
Yeah.
suddenly it's like when your dog sees another dog and just kind of stops and looks over, right?
I think even more so when it's like in a place that's relatively close to where you live.
But yeah, that's true too. Like,
It's like, wow, I've just been like walking around these fucking ancient giants.
yeah, and we live in kind of a swamp too, where we have a swamp near us.
Yeah.
But this is not well. This is kind of close to home too because we know people from here.
Do
We
we?
do. We know people from Bladen County. Actually, a lot of my roommates are. I know Tavoy is. He's from
Oh
there.
fuck.
Um, so that's close to home, dude. That we've got a lot of crazy stuff in NC, and these old trees, it kind of makes you start wondering what do we have in, you know, in Mill Creek? What do we have in the swamps that maybe people could dig up and try to see? Because I see these types of trees all the time driving down Mill Creek.
Yeah, there's like like at the Mill Pond area, or I don't know if you know where that is.
No, I'm not familiar. I don't know. I've never been down there.
It's like when you come around that curve, it's like when you know you're getting into Mill Creek. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but there's some trees there. It's before you get to my
Oh
house.
yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. It's got like the really calm, reflective water.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I see. That's where I see. That's the thing. That's actually the exact place I was thinking of, where I've seen these types of trees, and yeah, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder what kind of secrets, what kind of cryptids, what kind of
Sort of
strange things could be lurking.
Lovecraftian being is lurking in
Yeah,
those
dude. Yeah,
swamps.
honestly, man. I mean, we're and also kind of a background on the podcast. We're both kind of fans of these monster movies, and we're fans of cryptids, and that's kind of been like a running, not a running joke, but a running theme kind of that we kind of go back to. Um,
What's your favorite monster movie that you watched?
Favorite monster movie? Well, obviously, I love all the Godzilla movies, but my favorite
I'm talking like a more like cryptidy.
cryptid movie. Um, Let me
I
think
mean, it
here.
can be it can be any monster movie. I just thought you were talking about like more cryptid
Well, does
centralized.
the snow monster count?
Yeah, yeah. The snow monster does count.
The snow monster was okay. I kind of liked. I kind of like Barnyard, honestly. Yeah. Um, was it Wild Mike from Barnyard?
Wild Mike.
Yeah. That's probably my favorite cryptid. I think.
Oh, okay, okay. I think mine is obviously is the best movie we've seen. Uh, but I think I'm gonna choose the who was that guy from Bone Jangles, the Juice Lad?
Oh, the Juice Lad. Yeah, that was the guy. Yeah, he was creepy, man. He was creepy, and he was just a regular dude. But he was cryptid enough, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they juiced him out, and he turned into something fierce. He got some fierce, I think. Yeah, man. So I just wanted to talk about those trees for a little bit because you know, I know it's nice to be reminded about these mysterious things that can be just around the corner that we don't know about.
I wonder what the oldest tree is. Like, what's the oldest tree alive? How old is that tree?
I saw this on a documentary, and I think the oldest tree is like literally from like basically the dawn of fucking man because it's a tree that never ages, basically. I'm gonna type in oldest tree.
What?
It's a tree that is, it's not even a tree, it's like a being that, it's like, it's like a network basically of trees, but it counts as one tree.
That's fucking insane.
Let me see here. The oldest tree. I clicked on this article. I clicked on the first one that said the oldest tree. The oldest tree is estimated to be about 4,000 years old.
Isn't like according to the Bible that's like the beginning of time?
I don't know. I thought. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know enough about the Bible, but this tree is old, man. This tree is. Oh, actually, you know what? This is not what I'm talking about. This article says, though these are some of the oldest individual trees in the world. They're not technically the oldest living organisms. There are several clonal colonies which are made of
Mm,
genetically identical trees that connect by a single root system. So that's
damn.
kind of what I was talking about with like the. Let me see how old those are. Oh, it says
Okay.
at least 9,500 years,
Damn.
and that's kind of crazy to think about. I mean, well,
How have they survived? Like, how have they not? How have they not been fucked up by insects or like underground mammals and shit?
or even yeah, that's true. Mammals can come by and just mess a tree up, but also near where we live, hurricanes.
Yeah, dude.
Hurricanes take down trees all the time, and
We
over the course of 2,000 years, it's insane that they would still be standing.
they've got some major plot armor here.
Some major roots down there. Yeah, man.
Well, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Mm, I think we hit the main things, right? I think we hit what we really wanted to hit. I can't think of anything else unless you have. I know. I think we want to tease something that we have coming up.
Oh yeah,
We've got the cryptid discussion bracket. We're gonna
I know nothing about
Yeah,
this.
so we're gonna put a couple cryptids head to head, kind of like a sports event,
An
and
NFL fantasy
yeah,
bracket.
kind of like a fantasy bracket. And we're gonna discuss on the podcast and see which ones come out on top. And when we upload it, we'll probably have the bracket on screen so you guys can, before the
Yeah, yeah.
podcast continues, you guys can try to predict and make up your own, and then see how well ours stacks up to yours.
Well, should we like? If that's the case, should we like make it right now?
I think we can make it beforehand, and I mean, they could probably just pause the video, right? It doesn't take too long to kind of decide
That's
what
true. I
cryptids.
doubt anyone would be willing to make a bracket now and then wait till the next time we upload.
Yeah,
Anyways,
and we don't even have any viewers, so
we've got zero
well, we
subscribers on
have
YouTube.
not even uploaded the first podcast at this point.
Yeah.
So we're still.
You know what I was going to do?
What was up?
Because when I fucked up the audio for that podcast, uh, I had your audio file. What I was thinking of doing is just responding, like based off of what you were saying.
Like a
Just
post commentary.
yeah, maybe I'll still make that just because I think it might be funny.
That could be a good prank. That could be a good prank podcast. But yeah, we've got a couple ideas. We're still trying to work out, and we'll probably play around with the length of the podcasts too. Like right now, it's a pretty modest 30-ish minutes, right? I think
Something like
the
that.
first podcast was like 35 minutes. This one's looking like it'll probably end around 30. So yeah, we're still playing around with that. I think it's nice to start as um,
Yeah.
a small operation, and then see if we can maybe get bigger once we get
Hmm.
more things to talk about. But today, I just wanted to bring up, Mother's Day, making sure you're doing something out there for your mom. And
What are you doing for Mother's Day?
for Mother's Day, you know what? I can't be home for Mother's Day, but my mom came
Ah,
up for graduation, and we had a nice lunch. And I know my sister got her something nice, so once I get back, I might try to do something a little extra for her too. But we kind of just spent a lot of time together earlier in the week.
hmm.
But yeah,
I honestly don't do that much for Mother's Day.
well, yeah, I think it's easy to get lost in the sauce of life, and kind of
I think
forgetting
the
about
last
that.
gift I got from my mom on Mother's Day was maybe like uh, a scented candle.
Well, I don't know if your mom wants gifts from you anymore after that poncho that you got her. That apparently,
Oh my
that
god.
apparently she was not happy with. I thought it was a great poncho, for the record, but yeah, I remember. I remember your mom was not too happy with that poncho for some reason.
Ungrateful.
Yeah, but that was a Christmas. That wasn't really a Mother's Day, I guess.
Yeah, maybe it would be acceptable on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Christmas is more of like the mainstream gift giving holiday,
Hmm.
so you're always expecting something a little bit more uh, thoughtful.
Yeah, that's fair.
But with that said, I don't have anything else to add.
Yeah, I don't either. If you like what you're hearing, you can either just stay tuned, look for more, or you can subscribe.
Send, or like send it to someone that you don't like.
Yeah, yeah. Send it to someone you don't like and tell them it's great, and then
Yeah,
they'll be
try to
like
troll
pissed. They'll
them.
be like, dude, what the fuck? What is this, dude? This is just some garbage. Uh, but yeah, do anything you want with this. We don't care. We just want you to do
Make a meme
something
out
with
of it.
it.
Make memes out
Yeah,
of it
you
or
can make
something.
memes. You can make fun of us. Well, I don't really want to be made fun of.
You should have said that.
Yes. Well, no, maybe.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah, maybe it's reverse psychology, right? Maybe that'll get more traction. But yeah, anyway, we're just out here. We'll probably do something else. I don't know, later next week.
Cryptid
Yeah,
bracket.
cryptid bracket. We can do that. So we'll have the cryptid bracket. We might even have to do it in two parts, depending on how many cryptids that we find.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
or that no one can find really because they're fucking cryptids, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll be doing that. Yeah, have a good day,
Okay
everyone. I
then.
guess. Thanks for
Uh,
listening.
Follow me on Twitter at downv underscore
Yeah.
1337. All right.